the need is they need to pay for their children's university fees.
Right.
Sometimes it's that they have had some inheritance and they don't want to just squander it away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is they're getting divorced, and if that money's in their bank account, they're going to end up giving away half of it, so they need to put it into something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just that they want to create an income that they can live on. Like every single investor has got a different reason to get into a deal.
Hey guys, so welcome to another Property Convos. On today's show, I've got a really special guest. Her name is Sarah Poynton. She is the owner of Cogito Wealth, and she's a property mogul, marketing lady extraordinaire, all-round badass. So yeah, hi Sarah, great to have you on. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, cool. So how's your day going, and what's been going on with you today?
Yeah, good actually. This morning I generally like work out in the mornings and then like get myself ready and stuff. So I had a pretty chilled morning this morning, and then I had a couple of like online calls and stuff, and then I've just been, so I live like in a village, and I've just been to town to pick up some like anti-bac gel and masks for our lettings team, because the around viewings and stuff have changed, so we wanted to make sure they had enough like PPE and things. So I've been and done that this morning, and yeah, I'm back home now, and yeah, it's been a good day so far. How about you?
Good. Yeah, it's been all right. I started my day off with a workout at 6:30 a.m. So did a bit of a legs workout. I work out with a group of people on sort of Zoom, so that's been pretty cool. I'm all pumped. So you mentioned something about your team getting their masks and thingy bobs. Is that because the government is now announcing that things are opening up again, or?
Yeah, so we're waiting for the official government guidelines to come out today. But yesterday it was suggested that from today the guidelines will adjust to allow viewings again, which basically means gearing up for seeing other human beings. And so we want to make sure that our team are safe, obviously, and looked after. So today I've been and bought like a stock of anti-bac gel, been and bought some masks, we've been and bought some like face coverings and things like that, just so that if they do end up doing like face-to-face physical viewings, because a lot of the stuff we've done over the last few weeks has been virtual anyway, and that's working quite well. But if there is a need for face-to-face, we want to make sure that they're looked after. But they think that it looks like the government rulings on moving house and viewings is going to change from today.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's really cool. Don't mind me. I've just put my my car background.
Can we do backgrounds?
We can do backgrounds. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me choose my little background that I.
Zoom is a magical place of magical wonders.
You go with here today.
Ah, that's very nice.
That is Cartier. It's like my favorite.
Yeah. So what is that? Is that like the vision board, or is that like actually your? No,
that's the shop.
I took a picture of it.
I like shopping in that shop, so it's the
shop.
That
okay, fair enough.
But I also have this one.
Nice.
Which is Tiffany.
That's Tiffany. Yeah. Okay, I know Tiffany. I know Tiffany very well because I went there for my wedding ring. So yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. And then I went somewhere else. I went there looking.
Fair enough.
But okay, cool. So I was on your program recently for how to get investors via social media, and I was really impressed, and I thought I would love to have a chat with you. And I wonder if are you able to just give us a little bit of a background as to where you started and what you're doing now, just to kind of give people a bit of a sense.
Yeah, of course. So my like career background pre what I do now, I was in recruitment. I used to do like commercial, permanent and temporary recruitment for one of the biggest recruitment companies in the world.
Okay.
I was based out of Milton Keynes, and I had at one, like for most of my career at that particular company, I was one of the highest billing consultants in the country. I loved what I did. I thought I would do it forever.
We should pause there. That was like a bit of a, mic drop, dust your shoulders off moment. I was the, one of the top people in the company. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but the problem I had with it was I worked really hard and I made them a lot of money, but I still only earned like pennies really in comparison, and it used to really get on my nerves. So I basically fell out of love eventually with recruitment, decided to start my own company, which I started a photo booth company, which I have no idea why I chose that. I just did, and it worked okay for a minute. But
is that before photo booths were like in? Were you like on the cutting edge, or
I was
on the tip of the spear?
I was quite early into photo booths, but the problem was I had no idea how to run a company. Because I'd never heard of like a mentor or like business coaches or anything like that at that point. I just basically bought some equipment and started selling it, and I made some money for a little minute. But the problem when you've got no idea how to run a company, the first time you run a company is you make loads and loads and loads of mistakes. And this is why I have mentors now, is that it stops me from making stupid mistakes. But so my first business, I started it in 2012. For the first like 18 months, it was great. I was making money. I managed to give up my job. Like I replaced my income.
Oh, nice.
Went totally self-employed. Well, it was nice for a minute. And then mid 2014, I realized that actually I wasn't running the company very well. I also hadn't like saved any money in the business for things like tax or reinvesting in equipment, upgrading new technology, all of these sorts of things. So I then fell behind in terms of like the tech that people expected in the service, and I didn't have the money to redo it. So the business just fell to shit, basically. The long story is it just went wrong. So somebody who had given up being employed, I then had to go back to being employed, which broke my heart. Like it was it was awful. I felt like I'd failed at everything. And I honestly thought I'd feel like that forever. Like I really did feel like that was it for me. I was just going to feel like that forever. And then I discovered property around the same sort of time, and I'd listened to webinars and I'd read the books and I'd like done all those things, and I basically had got myself into a point where I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't really understand how property works. I didn't know how you could make money in property without having any money. And at the time, so this was like beginning of 2015, I was about £60,000 in credit card debt.
Right.
All my 0% had stopped. And I really I was broke is the best way to explain it. Not only was I financially broken, I was emotionally broken.
It can play up on your mental state as well, I think.
It was a horrible place to be, and I honestly thought I'd feel like that forever. I didn't know how to get out of that. So anyway, I got married in 2015 in September, and we went away for a week after our wedding to Colchester, because that was all we could afford at the time. And we stayed on a farm for a week in this little cottage, and it was lovely. And we just talked about what we wanted to do. And everything we wanted to do at that point, like buy another house, go traveling, like everything just came back to, we've got no money.
Just money.
So, we decided like in that week that we needed to do something different. And I'd started to watch lots of webinars. So I started to learn that things like mentors existed. And I decided, right, well, that's what I need. I need a mentor. I need somebody that can answer my questions and can stop me from making stupid mistakes like I've done the first time.
Tell you what to do and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I started a rent-to-rent company at the end of 2015. Did my first deal in 6 weeks under the watchful eye of my mentor, obviously.
Nice.
And then
impressive.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. I'm still quite proud of it, I have to say. It's still a great deal. I've still got it now, so that's good.
Was it a good revenue earner for you, like in terms of cash flow?
It takes about £1,000 a month net. So yeah.
Nice. First deal, £1,000 a month.
Yeah, good little deal. And then in the January after that, so that was like December 2015. In the January 2016, I discovered deal packaging.
Right.
And deal packaging changed the game for me completely, because I realized I could make a lot of money in property without ever buying or renting or managing a single tenant or saving anything.
Yeah.
I could just consult for people. I could become an extension of their team. And so I did. And yeah, the rest is history, really. I've built a packaging company. I did about £100,000 in my first 12 months, and it's gone on from there.
Nice.
Now I've got a renovations company, a rent-to-rent company, like a deal packaging company.
Yeah.
And we also have a training company, which is Cogito.
Which is a super dope, badass training company, I can attest, even though I've kind of participated in just a little bit of what you're offering. But because I've been on a few training courses and in a few challenges, and I like that background.
I've changed my background again. Seeing as we're doing background,
I could put some music on. I could put some music on, but I won't. But Cogito Wealth, you guys are doing big things. I was gonna just touch on what you said about deal packaging, because what I found is everybody gravitates to different, strategies, and most people who are in that sort of, I want to start into property, I want to move out of my job and get into it. The first thing that a lot of people do is deal sourcing or rent to rent, like get cash flow quickly. But what was it about deal packaging? Because it seemed like you had a bit of a light bulb moment, right? So why, what was it for you that made deal packaging just connect with you?
The money. I'm not going to lie about it. Really simply, it was the money. And for me, if you can imagine being in the headspace of somebody that had £60,000 worth of debt, I could get rent to rent at this point. I'd proven the model, if you like, and because of my marketing and what I did and the way that I did it, I was getting people saying yes to me everywhere. But I couldn't take all those properties on into my own portfolio because logistically it wouldn't have worked because they were all over the country. So my mentor said to me, "Why don't you just package them up?" And I was like, "What?" I didn't know what that was. And then he's like, so someone will probably pay you between £3,000 and £5,000 for a rent-to-rent deal. I was like, and all I've got to do is get the yes. And he was like, and then you invoice them and they become the rent-to-renter. I was like, this is crazy. So it was the fact that I had leads, and it was the fact that I didn't want them myself. And I still make money from them. That was what it was about for me.
Sounds like a no-brainer, but did you find that your experience in sort of consulting in recruitment, recruitment consultancy, did that sort of naturally lend yourself to be able to present, package, put presentations together and speak to, give pictures and stuff like that?
Yeah, because...
Can you hear the music, by the way?
I can, just.
Nice. We're in a bit of a party now, yeah?
So, the thing that's good about recruitment and...
Sorry,
It's all right. Have a little one.
I can't dance, by the way. Sorry.
But now I want to go out and it, and I can't.
No, it's because you've got that background. Sorry, I'll lower it. Go on.
So recruitment was having a job to fill and having a person to fill it, and now it's having a property to sell and having a person to actually almost identical business model to what I was running in anyway. It's just my product is a different product. So
it's
the same serve your client and they will pay you. It's quite simple.
So, and that brings me on to my next point, because I have a sourcing business as well. And we're at the stage where we're trying to build our client base of investors. And I stumbled across, very randomly actually, your 5-day social media investor challenge. A bit of a mouthful, but I stumbled across it. And what was really cool to me about that challenge was, because I have I understand marketing, and I've got a bit of a digital marketing background. And it seemed very much like the stages that you would take someone through in like, you know, the awareness and consideration and like decision life cycle of a funnel, but you kind of, yeah. So I mean, what do you think about that? Because there's a group of people who are, do you think we're in a new era where it's not the same in terms of you have to now go and meet someone and you've got to, obviously I know you have to get on the phone, but like, are we seeing a shift in the paradigm of things in terms of how, yeah,
dealing with investors?
In terms of dealing with and, you know, securing investors, yeah.
I think it depends on what you're doing in your business. You know,
Yeah.
If you're deal packaging,
Yeah.
legally, we have a legal responsibility to meet them face to face, or we have to do what's called high risk, like the high risk checks.
Yeah.
So there's in deal packaging. So this is going to be a bit techie. Compliance.
No, it's good. It's good. We need the detail.
You've got low risk and you've got high risk. So low risk is UK based, UK money. You've got a human being that's the director of the limited company, like simple structure. And then you've got high risk, so overseas money, politically impacted money, people that you can't meet face to face. Yeah. Or there's loads of different things that would make someone high risk. Now, as a deal packager, we have there's guidelines given to us by HMRC around anti-money laundering. It's all like proceeds of crime, money laundering, all this sort of stuff. So yeah, you're basically an estate agent. So in the same way that an estate agent has to physically meet you, get your ID, proof of funds, proof of address, proof of name, blah, 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 we have to do those things too. So yeah, in terms of the shift, yes, there's a lot of a shift happening around being able to do a lot of the networking digitally. Yeah. Doesn't take away from the fact that legally we still have to meet those people because you have to tick the box from anti-money laundering.
Of course, yeah.
If you can't meet somebody, you have to do increased due diligence checks on them. So you can still work with people you haven't met, but you've got to do a bit of extra work. So if you can meet, I think that builds relationships quicker and it speeds up the due diligence process. In terms of like if you're raising money or joint venturing with people, those kind of dealings with investors, I mean, I've worked with investors that haven't wanted to meet me, but I prefer to meet people because I think it's important.
It's a bit rude, isn't it?
Well, it's not so much they've not wanted to out of like, but just haven't got the time. They just want to chuck their money in and go. For me, it's not, it is definitely something that some people do. For me, I like to meet somebody. I like to have a glass of wine with them, or I like to have a little Jack Daniels with them, or I like to have a coffee with them, or whatever it needs to be. And we run investor days for that reason. So we can kind of, they can see the whites of my eyes and I can see theirs, and they can ask me anything they want and they can get a feel for what it would be like to work with me, and I can get a feel for what it'd be like to work with them. One of the things that people do, which is a mistake in our industry, is they jump into bed with people in business partnerships without ever talking through what if things go wrong, you know, what's the worst case scenario. And I think when you meet somebody, you can have that solid conversation. There is definitely a shift. I think you're right, but it is still personal choice in terms of whether you do or don't meet somebody. And I like to meet people. Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense. And you kind of made a good point. Like, even if you could have some kind of online, you know, nature to what you're doing, you still have to have some kind of physical or some kind of connection. Like, I don't think people buy into a product so much as they buy into you or a brand or what it is that you represent. And there's only so many ways that somebody can get to know you, but one of the best ways is to sort of meet physically, you know, shake hands, look somebody in the eye, and you get a sense for them. So what would you say is like, how salesy do you need to be, you know, in terms of, you know, getting...
Well, this is really interesting. So I'm reading a really good book, right, at the moment, and on this topic, and it's called To Sell is Human. And
who wrote that?
Wait there, I'll tell you. Hold on. It's literally right next. This book here. I'm not going to show it now, am I, because of my silly background. Hold on. Let me change my background. I can give you a proper, here you go.
Daniel
So this,
H. Pink. Okay.
and basically this book is it effectively explains that everybody's in sales.
Yes, I believe that, yeah.
Regardless of what you do or how you do it, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a mum, whether you are a wife, whether you are a salesperson, you are all in sales, because all sales is moving somebody to make a decision. You've got something that they've got something you want, you've got something they want, and it's about moving them from there to there. That is what sales is. Sometimes there's a financial transaction. Sometimes it's about convincing your babysitter to work an hour later so that you can stay out later. Sometimes it's about deciding what you want for dinner between a husband and a wife.
Right.
Sometimes it's convincing somebody to do something that you need, like giving, whatever it is. We are all in sales. And so do you have to be salesy? No, I don't think you do. Do you have to be able to influence and persuade?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes, you do.
Yeah. And I guess with that, because I think the word salesy has a connotation to it anyway. So the fact that I've used that word, it means, it's a bit. It
means pushy, it means manipulative. It's got these really negative connotations to it. I think sales is an absolute art form. Like if you can sell well, and identify a need in your client to the point that they actually realize that if they have it, their life will be better, regardless of what it is, then you get to a position where actually, why wouldn't a client buy that?
Yeah, like, it's a no-brainer.
I love being sold to, like sold to well. When somebody sells to me well, I'm like, take my money. Like I absolutely want to buy what you've got, because what you've got serves me and it will solve for me and it will save me time or money or whatever. Take my money. And I think everybody actually is the same. If salespeople are pushy and manipulative and try and sell you something that you don't need, that's not okay. That's not ethical. It's not reasonable. It's not good to use tactics to convince someone to buy something they could never ever use. But if you've got a solution to solve for somebody, then you've got a responsibility to sell it to them. You've got a responsibility to persuade them to work with you.
Okay, so with that in mind, because you said you like being sold to, and you like when somebody has solved a problem that you have. Now, for an investor, so as a property entrepreneur or a property deal package or deal sourcer, you've got a deal on the table for an investor. What is the need of the investor? And I'm sure there's different profiles of investors, but like maybe could you give me an example of like one? And
there is real different profiles, and of course sometimes the need is they need to pay for their children's university fees. Sometimes it's that they have had some inheritance and they don't want to just squander it away. Sometimes it is they're getting divorced, and if that money's in their bank account, they're going to end up giving away half of it, so they need to put it into something. Sometimes it's just that they want to create an income that they can live on. Like every single investor has got a different reason to get into a deal. Our job is to identify what that reason is and to then match them up with a solution, i.e. an investment that solves that problem for them.
That's good. And because everything that you just said there, it describes in my mind like a real person. And I feel like there's at times people, when they get into property and you talk about, I've got to get an investor and got to find investors, you're putting somebody on a pedestal because you're thinking, I've got to get this, I've got to go and sell to, Warren Buffett, or I've got to get Alan Sugar to put money in my thing. But actually 9 times out of 10, I think the person that is going to invest is actually a real person who has a real problem, just like you might have, so it's something that you could,
Warren Buffett and Alan Sugar would probably be the easiest people to sell to. If you could show them a deal that genuinely made money, they would take it in a heartbeat. There would be no competition. They would want it because I think the thing that deal packages, and I went through this myself at the beginning. I put money on a pedestal because I didn't have any. And when you don't have any, it's really hard to understand the mindset or to connect with the mindset of people that do have it. At the same time, what you have to remember, like you've just said, is there's a human being at the other end of that money. Money is just the thing that's going to transact, but to be able to hand over money, someone needs to be 100% sure about you, the deal, the company, like what you're actually putting in front of them.
Yeah.
So work on getting your deals to stack.
Yeah.
And your investors will hand over money. You don't have to give them.
Yeah.
They will give it to you because they want the product that you've got.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I recall the analogy of the cookie jar versus the penny jar, right? So as a person who's sourcing the deals, you know, I have the jar of cookies, whereas the person who wants those cookies from me has the jar of pennies. And both of those things are of value, but actually I am holding something of high value that the guy with the penny jar wants, you know. So I think when you have that kind of mindset, it can potentially help your confidence, because you're now not sort of thinking, oh, little old me, you know, give me some money, please. It's like, no, actually, I've got something that you really want. And here's the features and benefits, but I have it. If you want it, here's what you need to kind of give me, kind of thing, you know. So
I remember the first time I ever like raised money to like borrow into projects.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my head around asking to borrow money, because I had a really my relationship with debt it's much better now than it was, but it wasn't good because I got myself into such a pickle with money.
Yeah.
I was really nervous about being in debt to like people. Being in debt to credit cards is one thing. Being in debt to an actual physical human being that I'd met and shook the hand of made me feel really pukey, because I would never want someone to not have their money back. That like, it's really important to me that happens.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to get my head around the fact that in this business, what you're not doing is asking to borrow money. You're actually not asking to borrow money. You're offering to make them more money. There you go. Yeah. When you switch that, when you say to yourself, right, that person there's got 100 grand and I'm going to pay them 10% or 8% or 12% or whatever you pay. Yeah. And then I'm going to give them back their 100 grand. I'm not doing them a favor. They're not doing me a favor. I'm doing them a favor. 100%. Yeah. You have to put yourself and understand that you are as important in the process as the person with money, because they've got the money, but you've got the deal. This is good stuff. Another question. What do you think about VIP groups? Ooh, in terms of like investor lists? Yeah, so, you know, I've heard the concept of having a VIP group where you get your investors to buy into it, a certain amount. And then that kind of gives them exclusive access to the group and exclusive access to the deals and first refusal. And like what's your thoughts on that whole setup? So I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good concept. The problem with it is that it's open to manipulation and it's open to being misused, because you've got a deal packager that has no intention ever of getting deals, and all they're doing is signing people up to their VIP list and living off that money. Like a Ponzi. That's not okay. That of course. Yeah. However, if you charge an investor a fee to join your investor list and have access, so that they are, one, you've got rid of the tire kickers. Two, you know they're serious. Three, you've already checked their compliance and due diligence. And four, you've checked their ability to transact. Yes. It costs money to do those things. It costs money for someone to be AML checked. It costs money to market for deals. It costs money to pay staff salaries to go out and source for those people. Yeah. Why wouldn't an investor pay to be part of that? Why should a company run at a loss until something happens? When actually, if they are a good packager, they will take that fee to be on the list, and they will use that money to do all the due diligence checks, do all the anti-money laundering work, get them fully registered and ready to go, and pay towards marketing to source for that client. Source that client. Yeah. That makes sense. Something that I've considered. Yeah. Yes. What some people do is they will take that fee or a percentage of that fee to join the VIP group off of the first deal. So people are aware that actually they're kind of getting it back or getting a percentage of it back. So that's the approach that we were thinking of taking with my company, actually. But you said a percentage of it back, so not like, so let's say
for argument's sake, the buy-in was £1,000.
Yeah.
Yep. And, you know, you offered to give that grand back as off the revenue from the deal. I mean, but you're saying actually no, just do a percentage of that because some of that money is going towards the email checks and
what you're spending out of that £1,000
Yeah.
to get that person on board. So
of course, yeah,
let's say that it was going to take you, I don't know, 3 hours of your time to onboard that person. And let's say in your business, your hourly rate was £100, for example. Well, that's £300 of lost revenue effectively that you can't
Yeah.
yourself because you're building someone else's business.
Mm.
So really that should come off the £1,000.
That's good.
If you then have to pay Exor or one of the anti-money laundering regulation companies, they're about £24 a month subscription, and then you have to pay for each report. So
Yeah.
there's another maybe £50 that probably should come out of that £1,000.
Yeah.
Your staff probably should come out of your own fee. So maybe
Yeah, of course, yeah.
we'll give you 50% of it back, and we'll keep 50% of it to cover the cost of
Cover the cost of yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, and it actually helps me out because we've got an investor day coming up very soon, and that was one of the sort of points that we wanted to just clarify.
When you charge an investor to join it, they think twice about whether to join it or not, and that's a good thing because you don't want thousands of investors because 99% of them will be idiots and they won't want to move, they won't be ready, they won't have the money, they won't have their ID even, messing around, whereas
they've just got FOMO, right? They just got FOMO, they just don't want to miss out on like seeing a deal. Yeah.
When you bring someone through a really solid registration process and they're part of a community that actually have access to the deals, then you know that they're serious because otherwise they wouldn't part with that money in the first place. However, they have to have absolute faith in you to deliver, otherwise they will not pay it.
Of course. Yeah, so it's both ways. But if we've, done a good job of, I guess, pitching, but also building that relationship of trust, then that's where we want to kind of get them to. Yeah. Cool. All right. So we've talked a lot about sales and getting investors and things like that. Haven't talked too much about actual property, right?
Okay.
So are you able to tell me what is the best deal you've ever done and the worst deal you've ever done?
So the best deal I ever done is still my first ever deal. It's still the one that I'll never ever be able to forget the feeling of doing that deal. Partly because I felt sick doing it. Because at the time I was signing up, my monthly rent on my first rent to rent was £925 a month plus bills.
Right.
And at the time I couldn't afford to pay my own bills, like my mortgage and my utilities. Like I really didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I went out and I did a car boot sale and I sold a load of stuff. And that was like my first £900 that I raised.
Yeah.
Just by selling stuff that I didn't need anymore, like my DVD players and stuff, which is really annoying because I've got a 350 strong collection of DVDs and I still don't have a DVD player for it. I should probably buy one now, but
could have been vintage. It might have been worth, antique money by now. Yeah.
The feeling. So I met the landlord in Starbucks in Milton Keynes, and we had a and I took the contracts with me, and I remember sitting and watching him sign these contracts and thinking to myself, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So we asked for a rent-free period of like 4 weeks, which was great.
Right.
It basically meant that 4 weeks from that point, I needed to come up with £925.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it. I didn't have it because the first bit was going on furniture and all those things.
Yeah.
We had to fill those rooms, so I just worked my arse off over Christmas, get those rooms filled. I made it, and it's been great. But for that reason, it'll always be my favourite deal because I felt the fear and did it anyway. And I think it taught me that when you have faith, when you trust the process, when you just do as you're told and follow the direction of people that have trod the path before you or trodden the path before you, it works. And that deal completely shifted my mindset as a businesswoman, as a human being, as a confidence in myself. Like it completely changed who I was. So that's my favorite deal. It will always be my favorite deal, I think. I don't think it's beat that.
Like your first, it shattered your limiting beliefs in one go, right?
My ceiling just went, right, I'm actually capable of doing this, and I'm going to do it. I think my worst deal I ever did was a rent-to-rent in Liverpool, and it was, the reason it was not a good deal is because I let the investor buy the deal from me without going to see it. And it was it was in my first year. It was like June 2016, because I was in Thailand, and I traded the deal, and so I traveled June, July, August, September 2016. Me and my husband went traveling. We just went around the world for a few months, and it was while we were in Thailand that it all kind of fell to pieces. And what had happened is I hadn't made her go and see the deal before she paid me and picked up the keys. So when she went to pick up the keys, and the day she went to move into her new rent-to-rent, we realised that the photos the landlord had sent me were about 10 years old, and the condition of the property was not what I had sold her, basically.
So you hadn't seen it either?
No, because I don't see houses. I remotely. I don't do viewings. I do everything remotely. Because I'm a lifestyle where I can travel and I can still have a business. So that's it. We work with partners in different ways to make sure that the viewings are done, but I don't personally.
You don't do them yourself. Yeah.
So this lady obviously was phoning me in the middle of the night in Thailand because of the time difference, going crazy, asking for her money back.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, sugar lumps, how do I fix this problem? So in the end, I managed to negotiate with the landlord that he'd misled us, he'd missold us, and he agreed to pay for the refurbishment internally. It was only decoration. It wasn't terrible. Yeah. But he agreed to pay for the decoration, and she agreed to take the deal once it was redecorated.
Once it was done. Okay.
I got her an extra 4 weeks rent free. So I managed to fix it. But I felt sick because I didn't know what I didn't know. It was
of course.
Me at the time. And I thought, oh my God, this lady's like, I hate not doing a good job for people. So
yeah, you take a sense of pride in what you do, right? As you should, yeah.
So that's probably my worst experience on a deal. Other than that, I've actually had, touch wood, reasonably good experiences along the way. I've had some investors that have just been idiots. I won't swear, but actually, you'd be amazed, being a woman as well, in a very dominated industry, some of the things that investors have said to me about being a woman in this industry. Very interesting.
Is it quite chauvinistic then, you think, the industry and traditional?
Not everybody. So to be really clear, 90%, 95% of men I deal with are brilliant. And they're a pleasure to deal with. You just get the odd few that will say things like, can I speak to your boss?
Oh, cringe.
You know, like I am, there is nobody else to escalate this to. And it usually comes off the back of, I've decided that I don't want to work with them, and I'll say, look, I won't be working with you, I won't be representing you. And they say, well, but I want the deal, so can I speak to your boss?
That's like making it worse for them, isn't it? Because like you're really going to now work with them after saying that, aren't you? Of course. Yeah,
I mean, those sorts of things, I find them quite funny, but it's been I've had interesting experiences with some investors.
I've
definitely had a few messages I wish I hadn't had. And a few assumptions that I wish I hadn't had. But you know what? It's part of the game, I guess. And
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it seems like you're coming out on top, so you know that's all good. Just going back to that bad deal that you said, I was just trying to understand something, because you said that lady, you got extra rent. So was she buying it, or was she kind of a tenant in it?
No, it was a rent-to-rent.
Oh, it was a rent-to-rent. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It was a single-let rent-to-rent that she was going to convert to a HMO.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so I guess got a few minutes left. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you've got people paying money to make deals, to things to do. Slightly not property related at all.
Okay.
Apart from that book that you've just showed me, To Sell is Human, what other resources do you kind of use to, train your brain and get your mind right and, all that kind of stuff?
So there's a couple of things that I wouldn't be without. One is my journal.
Right.
I use a journal that was created by a friend of mine. It's called the Empowered Journal. The lady that created it, her name's Emma Deeker.
Right.
I've used different journals throughout my career. I didn't really understand journaling when I first started in business. I thought it was a bit like hippy dippy, and I didn't really get it.
Stickers and pens and
it just felt like a bit of a faff to me.
Yeah.
And people kept saying, you've got to journal, you've got to journal, it will help you stay in control of everything, it will help you remember things, it will help you get more done. I was like, do you know what? Anything that helps me get more done when you're as busy as I am, I started journaling, and I use Emma's journal because the way that it's laid out works for me. Things like daily gratitude really helps me to remember how grateful I am for what is going on in my world, and how it can always be worse. Like even on the bad,
on the worst day, it can be. Of course.
Things, that's a good start. My minimum expectations are in there. So like every day I have 3 minimum expectations on myself. So it could, like today, I've got to finish a document, I've got to do a podcast recording, which is this, and I needed to go and drop some like PPE off to my team. So as long as those things are done, then everything else I do today is a bonus. They're the absolute minimum expectations, and I won't go to bed until those things are done. And then I have like my daily habits, morning routine, and like other bits and pieces I need to like brain download. So my journal is a resource that I would never be without now. I don't think I could run the business I run without it. I watch a TED Talk most days. I find them great because they're only like 15 to 20 minutes. And there's some really interesting things that people talk about that you just don't even think of. So you can go onto the TEDx website and just select a category and just pick whatever's there. I like to.
When is your TED Talk? When are you giving yours?
Oh my God, I would love to do one. I'm desperately trying. You have to apply and you have to be selected. I've applied for you. I haven't been selected yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay, it's actually on your list, right? On your list.
To do. It's on my in the back of my journal. I've got like a milestones. All the things I want to do this year, and TED Talk is on there. Whether it will happen this year now with COVID and stuff, I don't know. It might be a next year thing, but I'm working on that definitely.
It will happen definitely at some point, right?
Other resources, things like Audible and my whiteboard. My whiteboard is probably my favourite tool that I have, which is basically just a whole wall in my house, in my office, that's painted with whiteboard paint, so I can just download my brain whenever I need to. They're like my everyday things.
Oh, that's really good. I like the idea of journaling. I mean, one of the things that I don't exactly journal, I think I probably should do more of that, but what do you think of vision boards?
So I have I've got quite visual vision boards, so like I've got pictures of things or the places or the experiences. I also have like my screensaver on my computer. I think like my passwords to get into things are my goals. So
okay, you're always it's always in your subconscious, right? Thinking about
absolutely. So I've got a particular goal about how many houses I want to build. So every time I log into my computer, I type in that sentence. It's got the goal and it's got the date by which point I'm going to do it. And so what that actually means is that I'm reinforcing in my own mind all the time that that's my goal, that's my goal, that's what I'm fighting for. And I think those sorts of visual things really help me.
No, that's really good because so with vision boards, are you familiar with Google Chromecast? So there's like a thing that you can put on your TV and it can sort of stream stuff. So, and you can use a screensaver with photo albums. So I've created a photo album with vision boards and I put in there like my goals. So, the number of houses I want to make by a certain time. And I've got a picture of me on there smiling and that's like how I would feel when I get that goal. Or, I've got also some personal objectives, that I and you know, my wife and my family have, and I've got TVs in every room, and it's always kind of playing, and because I do believe that when you sort of put stuff out there, you kind of just put something into the atmosphere, and it kind of changes your subconscious to sort of gravitate towards it. So I definitely I'm down with that. All right, couple more questions and then I'll let you go. It's been a really good chat. I really appreciate you being on. I could go on for longer because this is a really nice chat, but I'm conscious of your time. Current climate in terms of what's going on, right? So we've got COVID, we've got lockdown, we've got the property market that is, I guess, down, but maybe opening up again. What's your sort of prediction on how things are going to go with sort of property market, property investors, and what kind of direction do you think things are going to take? And yeah, you know, it's a very open question, but yeah.
It's a very open question. It's a really difficult one to answer because we've never been through anything like this before. We've got there. I mean, there's obvious issues around things like quantitative easing that are going to impact the currency values, which is going to impact values of property for sure. We've also got the lockdown issue that has stopped the market from moving. So my thoughts on that are, it's not like 2008 when nobody wanted to buy, like nobody wanted to move, like it all kind of just ground to a halt. Right now, actually, our clients want to buy. I'm trying to buy at the moment. We want to buy. The market still wants to buy, but they're not allowed to buy right now. So I think as we come out of this lockdown period, what I'd like to hope is going to happen, or what I kind of foresee happening, is that the demand is still going to be there. And provided the demand's there and agents pull their fingers out, because agents have really dropped the ball in the last 8 weeks. There's loads that agents just have not handled the furloughing very well. They're not on it.
Yeah.
Furloughed everybody, but that again has just stopped the market dead in its tracks, because what actually could have happened, where there was deals that were progressing towards closure, they could have all been closed. It's all done remotely from the point that solicitors are appointed. Everything's done remotely. So there really should be no reason that agents have just dropped the ball, because they should still be able to earn money. So not all agents, obviously there are some good ones, but some agents have really not handled it very well. And I'll be surprised if they're all alive, like they all exist in a year's time, because they've not handled it particularly well. But yeah, I think the demand will still be there as we come out of this. I think people still want to buy, still people have, you know, the need to buy and the need to move house. So I think that will be there still. I think lenders and valuations, that's a bit of a stop. Can't really happen at the moment. If they're doing desktop appraisals, then they're kind of down valuing, and that then shifts the market in increments. I think ultimately what we have to remember is that we don't have a crystal ball, but what we can look at is history, right? The market is a cyclical market anyway. We have a crash, we have a boom, we have a crash, we have a boom, right? Where we are in the market, we don't ever really know until we're past that stage. Until we're there. So if you look at history, every decade we have this kind of adjustment, right? Well, the last adjustment was 2007, 8, 9, 10. So 2019, we were kind of due a bit of an adjustment.
We were heading there anyway, maybe, right?
We were certainly due an adjustment in London, for sure. We were due an adjustment, anyway, to go into 2020 to be hit with this. The adjustment is just going to be different to what we've had before. But I think you'll see that, 12 months, 18 months, the market will pick back up again. And what we have to remember is that we all drive the market. So we all of a sudden just drop our prices, drop everything, drop rents, drop this, the market will go down. If we try as an industry to retain a degree of stability, then the market will stay stable. I think people pulling out of deals for no real reason doesn't make sense to me.
It's not good for the market.
I think people should progress, because property should be a long game.
Definitely.
We shouldn't be looking at property as a short-term fix or quick money maker. It's not that. If you want quick cash, property is not the right place to be.
So
with that in mind, it shouldn't really matter what the market's doing. If you buy at the right prices, you do your numbers well, you can borrow at a reasonable rate, and you can repay that money, then you should still be buying, still be moving,
stay in the game, basically. Yeah, stay in the game. Okay, now that makes sense. Right. So last question before, I guess we sign out. So this show, I started out sort of driving around and having conversations with people, but obviously COVID happened and I had to adapt, and I've got my virtual background, which makes me look like I'm in a car. So the question is car related. What is your dream car and why?
Oh, it's a really difficult one. So it was an Audi R8 for a long time, a really long wide version. And
you like a sports car?
I got to a point where I could have it and I could have afforded it, and I went and I test drove it and I didn't like it. I didn't want it anymore. It wasn't that I didn't like it, but
they say you should never meet your heroes. That's what I think. Yeah.
So, I'm at a point in my life where I definitely don't ever want a Ferrari. I don't like them. I don't particularly like Lambos. It's not really for me. One day would I like to have an Aston Martin on my driveway? Yeah, I really would.
Yeah.
I think they're classy and I think they're beautiful, and I think that would be an amazing achievement. But honestly, I had a dream car for a long time.
Yeah.
I could have it. If I wanted it now, I could have it. But I actually then think to myself, well, what that cost me a month, I could buy another house with. So
pretty much.
So instead of having my dream car, I just bought more houses, and now I drive an Audi A4 and I love it. I've just bought a new car. I'm getting a Mercedes GLA, which I'm very excited about.
Nice.
I don't need a showy car.
You've transcended the fickle world of
probably one day, but I'm not desperately driven by things like that, to be honest.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, Sarah. It's been a really good discussion, and I think people who are watching this back will get a lot of value. You've got a lot of experience, and I would just say from a personal perspective, I've dealt with, or I've worked with, or I've observed a number of people in the industry, trainers and coaches, and just from the little interaction I've had, even though it's been at a distance on social media, I've very much appreciated, all of our interactions, and, you're definitely somebody that I warm to and I get a good vibe from. So if I could make a recommendation to anybody watching this show, please check Sarah out. Not that you need my recommendation, because, you're doing really great anyway. Tell us a bit about your company and, how anybody can connect with you on socials if they wanted to.
Yeah, so social media, I've got a little bit of an obsession with, so that's probably the best way to get hold of me. I'm on Facebook, Sarah Poynton. I am also on Instagram, which is Sarah LD Poynton. Come and connect with me on there. That would be amazing. If people want to get involved in the next 5-day challenge, so we do a 5-day get investor leads from social media, and we basically guarantee that we will get you at least one lead of an investor in 5 days. And the reason I started to do these is that I think people overcomplicate where to get investors from, and they, like you said at the beginning, they put them on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So what I do is take you on a journey over 5 days of implementation. It's not a training course. It's not what I do. It's implementation and activities for you to get leads. If you implement it, you will get leads. It's really simple.
Yeah.
So if people want to get involved with that, they can message me, or they can look me up online, or message you, I guess, and I can get them a link to that. But ultimately, social media, I'm all over social media. I've just joined TikTok, so I'm working on my TikTok.
I've seen a few of your TikToks. Yeah. I got a couple of leads, or a handful of leads from the Investor Day Challenge, so I can definitely attest it works. Cool. All right, Sarah, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Have a good day. I can't really do that, can I? Yeah. All right. Have a good one.